upon thousands of migrants will go there just to kiss or touch the rock. That rock is believed in Islam, or by the Muslim people, to have been delivered to the earth by the hand of Allah. And they will go miles and miles and miles to go and kiss a rock. But the most popular rock locations are in Israel and Jordan. Qumran, Masada, Petra, Nebo, countless others. Rocks that have been given credit because of events that happened on those rocks. Petra is one of the 9 wonders of the world, a city completely built out of rock. But the most famous rock of all is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, or commonly known as the Dome of the Rock. This rock, this particular foundation rock, has had more wars fought over it than any other rock ever created. Now I want you to wrap your mind around this for a second. People are fighting over a rock that has no strategic implementation. Gibraltar is understandable. You control Gibraltar, you control the Mediterranean. The rock in Jerusalem has nothing to it. It's not a strategic landmark. It's not anything more than just the top of a mountain. It's just a rock. It's all it is. But they have been fighting for thousands and thousands of years over that rock. They're fighting over a rock. That's almost as bad as kissing a rock. The Jewish people believe that the dust from that rock was where God collected Adam. That Adam was formed of the dust of that rock. It's also the rock where Abraham offered Isaac. It's also the rock where Jacob slept and promised to return. It's also the rock where the first and second temple were built and the Ark of the Covenant rested. Muslims believe that Muhammad was taken up. Now I found out today, I was talking to Brenda, and Brenda said that this was strictly a dream. This was something that Muhammad dreamed one night and came back and told people about, and now they call him a great prophet. But Muslims believe that Muhammad was taken up on a fiery horse by the Archangel Gabriel. He was brought down on top of the rock on Mount Moriah, and gathered there were all the patriarchs, all of the kings of Israel and Judah, and Jesus and his disciples. Gabriel brought him in the midst of all these people. Allah called him the great prophet in the midst of all of these men, and told him that he should teach them how to pray. Then he was taken up on the fiery horse and landed in Mecca at the Kaaba stone, or the rock. And that is why those 2 specific locations are sought after by the Muslim people. 2 rocks. Their entire relationship with their God is based upon the story built around 2 rocks. Now I want you to listen to this. In Deuteronomy 32:31, Moses says, prophetically speaking, for their rock is not like our rock. Do you think he's talking about that? Do you think Moses is prophetically talking about they're going to worship a rock? They're going to go miles and miles and miles to worship a rock face or a rock mountaintop. And you're going to want that. You think about it. The Jewish people want that rock so bad that they're willing to blow up the mosque that sits over it so they can put their temple there. Think about it. It's all over a rock. That would be like me and Gary fighting over a plot of ground. I like that plot of ground, and Gary's got his house on it, and I would rather see Gary's house blow up so I can build my house there. It's the same concept. But Moses is saying, do not do what they do. Do not seek the rock that they seek, because your rock is the Messiah. In Hebrew, the word rock is sur. And it literally means a rock that is still attached to a rock face. For instance, when Moses drew water from the rock in Exodus 17, that rock was not a stone that he carried with him and laid down on the ground and hit it and water poured out of it. It was literally a rock face that seemed to be everywhere that they went. And I don't know if you've seen the terrain through the area that they went through, but there's not a whole lot of rock faces. But everywhere that Moses went, there was a rock face. He'd strike that rock face and water would pour out of it. In Exodus 33, Moses was hid in the cleft of the rock, which was a gap in the rock face itself. So we're not talking about a stone or a detached rock. We're talking about a cliff face or a rock itself that's still attached to the mountain, an outcropping of some kind. In Greek, the word Petra means the large rock. Petros, or Peter, means large stone. Now understand that these are two separate things. These are not the same word. Petra and Petros are not the same word in Greek. Petra means a large rock still attached to a rock face. Petros means a rock that has been dislodged or detached from the rock face. Okay? So when Yeshua in Matthew 16 says, "You are Peter," or Petros, "upon this rock, Petra, I will build my church." Now you could look at that in several different ways in what Yeshua is meaning. Yeshua very well could be describing of the latter days when the church will be housed in Petra, in the city that is known as Petra. All of the believers will take refuge in the city of Petra. Yeshua very well could have said, "You are Peter, the rock or the stone dislodged from the rock, and upon Petra I will build my church." Could have also been talking about where he was standing at the time. He was standing in Caesarea. He could have very well been standing on ground and said, "Upon this rock, upon this that I'm standing on, I will build my church." It just so happens to be in Caesarea was the location of the first Messianic synagogue. It's also the location of a cave where Peter would often go and pray. It's also the place where Cornelius lived. Cornelius his alms were brought before God, and an angel came to tell him about it. Cornelius could have very well been the one who was the contributing factor, the financial backing to the building of the synagogue in Caesarea, the first Messianic synagogue, in the place where Yeshua was standing, telling his disciples, "Upon this rock